Fish can either be a nutritional powerhouse or a source of inflammation and toxins, depending on your choice. That's why it's crucial to be aware of which fish to avoid. Omega 3 fatty acids are essential, and certain fish are excellent sources. However, issues like mining, sewage, and fossil fuel emissions introduce heavy metals such as mercury and plastics into the water, accumulating in fish. Low level mercury poisoning from contaminated seafoods poses a serious health risk. A 2023 study by Environmental Working Group scientists highlighted the severity of the issue, revealing that eating one freshwater fish equals a month of drinking water contaminated with forever chemicals. These chemicals, known as PFAS, are extremely hazardous. CBS News reported that the total PFAS level in freshwater fish was 278 times higher than in commercially sold fish, according to the study. Key findings from the research include PFAS are commonly found in freshwater fish across the United States. U.S. EPA testing from 2013 to 2015 showed a median PFAS concentration of 11,800 ng per kilogram in fish. Even occasional consumption of freshwater fish can raise serum PFOA levels. One serving of fish can be equivalent to drinking a month's worth of water with 28 parts per trillion PFOAS. Fish consumption advice regarding PFAS is inconsistent or lacking in U.S. states. Additionally, some fish populations are so overfished that they are nearing collapse, threatening ocean ecosystems. Fortunately, there are healthier, low contaminant options with stable populations that are better choices. But first, let's explore which fish to avoid, and then we'll explore some healthier alternatives. Fish to never eat. Atlantic cod. Cod has historically been crucial for feeding New World civilizations and early Caribbean settlers, but overfishing over the last 1,000 years has severely depleted its population. In the late 90s, the situation reached a crisis point when the fishery collapsed. Despite female cod releasing over 100 million eggs, only a few survive into adulthood. Scientists, according to Oceana, agree that the collapse of the Atlantic cod has fundamentally altered North Atlantic food webs, and the species is now considered vulnerable to extinction. If you enjoy cod liver oil, ensure it's not sourced from Atlantic cod. Instead, choose Alaskan cod caught using sustainable methods like longline, pot, or jig. Imported farm shrimp. Is shrimp good for you? When it comes to farm shrimp, which makes up about 90% of the shrimp we consume, the answer is a resounding no. In 2009, Italian researchers found that 4-hexylresorcinol, a food additive used to prevent discoloration in shrimp, could reduce sperm count in men and increase breast cancer risk in women. Nearly all pesticides used globally in shrimp production are banned in U.S. shrimp farms. Shrimp farm ponds are treated with harmful chemicals and pesticides such as malachite green, rotenone, and organotone compounds, all of which pose serious health risks. Additionally, an Associated Press investigation uncovered a slavery network in Thailand dedicated to peeling shrimp sold worldwide. If you must eat shrimp, Monterey Bay's Seafood Watch recommends choosing U.S. farm shrimp or Alaskan shrimp. Swordfish. Mercury is the main concern when it comes to avoiding swordfish. This large predatory fish contains elevated levels. In fact, the mercury in this fish is so high that the Environmental Defense Fund recommends women and children avoid it altogether. For men, the recommendation is to eat no more than one serving a month. Tilapia. Did you know that eating tilapia can be worse than eating bacon in some respects? In 2008 study published in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association revealed that the shift to consuming more farm fish like tilapia is contributing to highly inflammatory diets. Researchers from Wake Forest University of Medicine point out that tilapia is one of the most widely consumed fish in America. The issue? Tilapia contains very low levels of beneficial omega 3 fatty acids and alarmingly high levels of inflammatory omega 6 fatty acids. High levels of inflammation in the body can exacerbate autoimmune disorder symptoms and are linked to chronic conditions such as heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. If you must eat tilapia, avoid those sourced from China where farming practices are particularly concerning. Opt for tilapia from the US, Canada, Netherlands, Ecuador, or Peru. Wild-caught tilapia is preferable to farm fish, but is very difficult to find. King mackerel. Mackerel is rich in healthy omega-3s, but some types come with hidden risks. The FDA advises women and children to avoid king mackerel due to its high mercury levels. Spanish mackerel also has elevated mercury levels and may best be avoided as well. On the other hand, Atlantic mackerel is a great choice. It's high in omega-3s, low in mercury, and is rated highly for both health and sustainability. Imported king crab. About 75% of king crab sold in the US is imported from Russia, where unsustainable fishing practices are common. Although Alaskan king crab legs can legally only be called that if they are harvested from Alaska, widespread mislabeling is the norm. For instance, many red king crabs caught in Russia under questionable practices are marketed as Alaskan king crab legs. Because you should avoid imported king crab at all costs, it's important to be completely sure of where those crab legs come from before you order them. If the label makes claims like imported and Alaskan, something is clearly wrong. You can also check out Seafood Watch's complete crab recommendations for more info. Orange Ruffy. Orange Ruffy, one of the longest living marine fish species, can live up to 150 years. Known as slimehead in the scientific community, seafood marketers rebranded it for a more appealing name, leading to severe overfishing. Because orange ruffy do not reach sexual maturity until at least 20 years old, their recovery is very slow. According to Oceana, the extremely long lifespan and the late age of maturity imply that a decimated population may take half a century or longer to recover. Additionally, orange ruffy tend to have higher mercury levels, posing health risks if consumed in large amounts. Caviar. Beluga sturgeon are ancient fish highly prized for their eggs, known as caviar. These fish can grow very large, live up to 100 years, and carry several hundred pounds of caviar, valued at up to $3,500 per pound. However, according to Oceana, the beluga sturgeon is in significant trouble. It has disappeared from several seas and rivers where it once thrived, and scientists fear it is critically endangered, making it highly vulnerable to extinction across its entire range. Without increased protection and enforcement, we risk losing one of the world's largest and most fascinating fish. If you cannot give up caviar, Seafood Watch recommends choosing caviar from blue sturgeon raised in recirculating aquaculture systems in the U.S. as a more sustainable alternative. Grouper. Grouper is on the list when it comes to fish you should never eat due to its moderately high mercury levels. This species is also highly vulnerable to overfishing. Grouper is also a common target of seafood fraud. In 2015, an investigation found that more than a third of 19 restaurants in Atlanta sold pangasius, also known as Vietnamese catfish, as grouper. Testing also found that grouper for sale is actually often king mackerel or whitefin weakfish, a cheaper alternative. Sturgeon. Although beluga sturgeon are especially targeted for their eggs, other sturgeon are at risk as well. Some even appear on restaurant menus. According to the International Union of Conservation of Nature, sturgeon are more critically endangered than any other group of species. Shark. Sharks are commonly found on fish you should never eat lists for several reasons. As bosses of the sea, they are very high on the food chain. That translates to higher mercury levels you should avoid in both foods and supplements. Apart from that, most shark species, which are slow to mature, don't have a lot of offspring, are severely depleted. This is partially due to a high demand for shark fins in Asian cuisine, as well as the fact that sharks are often caught accidentally by thousands and discarded as waste by tuna and swordfish longline fishers. Farm salmon. Americans consume a lot of salmon. Unfortunately, the majority is the unhealthiest kind. In fact, most salmon marketed as Atlantic salmon is farmed, meaning that fish are raised in conditions often ridden with pesticides, feces, bacteria, and parasites. Studies show that farm salmon is more likely to contain harmful contaminants like PCBs, which are pollutants linked to insulin resistance, obesity, cancer, and stroke. They're also often treated with antibiotics and tend to be higher in inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids. For a better alternative, skip the Atlantic salmon and opt for wild-caught Alaskan salmon instead. Atlantic bluefin tuna. Although Atlantic bluefin tuna is a highly sought-after sushi ingredient, it's best to say no thanks to this popular fish. Often referred to as hon maguru on sushi menus, this simply means bluefin tuna, which should be avoided at all costs. A better sushi choice is katsuo skipjack tuna caught through Pacific troll or pole and line methods only. Atlantic bluefin tuna lands on the fish you should never eat for a few reasons. First, it's been overfished to the point of near extinction. However, due to its high demand for sushi, fisheries managers are still allowing commercial fishing to target it. Sadly, bluefin tuna numbers are just at 2.6% of historic population levels. Aside from the obvious population collapse and extinction threat, this is also a large predatory fish that harbors higher levels of mercury. Atlantic flatfish. Due to historical overfishing and high contamination levels, these flatfish species have secured their slot on the list of fish you should never eat. In 2014, Oceana, the largest ocean conservation group in the world, conducted an investigation using data from the National Marine Fisheries Service. It identified the 9 worst fisheries in the U.S. based on wasted bycatch. The researchers found that commercial fishermen in the U.S. throw about 2 billion pounds of bycatch overboard each year. That's equivalent to about 500 million seafood meals. The California gillnet fishery that targets halibut was identified as one of the worst. According to the report, if you've eaten U.S. halibut, there's a good chance it came from this damaging fishery. Imported basa, sway, tray, striped catfish. Although these fish are popping up as trendy new menu items all over the United States, what you're likely getting is a fish called pangasiasis or swayfish, a much cheaper alternative. A 2016 study found 70% to 80% of Pangasius samples were contaminated with Vibrio bacteria, the microbes behind most cases of shellfish poisoning. Additionally, aside from destroying important river life and wetlands, this fish factory farming method results in fish swimming in waste and sludge. They're also commonly treated with a broad range of antibiotics in addition to pesticides and disinfectants. If you see sway, basa, striped catfish, or any other type of imported catfish on the menu, run. Take it as a sign that the restaurant isn't taking seafood safety or sustainability seriously. Eel. Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch places eel on the avoid list in its sushi guide due to its slow maturation and widespread overfishing, which has led to the collapse of some populations. Even Asian countries are now looking to American eels, which are also threatening U.S. waters. This poses a significant issue as eels play a crucial role in protecting water supplies. For example, in the Delaware River, eels help spread mussel populations that act as natural water filters. Eels tend to absorb and store harmful chemicals and contaminants such as polychlorinated biphenyls and flame retardants. In states like New Jersey, river eels are so contaminated that adults are advised to eat no more than 1 eel per year. Chilean sea bass. Actually named the Patagonian toothfish, seafood distributors started marketing this deep-sea predator fish as Chilean sea bass because it sounded less intimidating, and it worked. Now common on menus around the U.S., Chilean sea bass overfishing has left this species in serious trouble. Aside from overfishing, its high mercury levels are also problematic. Harvesting the fish from Chile is also plagued by poor management and bycatch problems. So what are some healthier fish options? The best fish choices come from sustainable fisheries, are low in contaminants, and are high in omega-3 fatty acids. Here are some of the healthiest options ideal for a pescatarian diet. Wild-caught Alaskan salmon. Choosing wild-caught Alaskan salmon allows you to enjoy the full health benefits of salmon. It's rich in healthy fats, protein, B vitamins, potassium, and selenium. Pacific sardines. Sardines are one of the most highest sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Being lower on the food chain, they have low contaminant levels. Sardines are also packed with essential nutrients, including vitamin B12, D, calcium, and selenium. Atlantic mackerel. This oily fish is high in healthy omega-3 fatty acids, along with protein, niacin, selenium, and vitamin B12. Note that mackerel is often sold preserved in salt, so be sure to soak and rinse it well before cooking to reduce sodium levels. These fish contain moderate amounts of mercury, but also provide between 100 and 250 milligrams of omega-3s per day and are classified as good sources by Seafood Watch. Some other additions are albacore tuna and saddlefish black cod.